Everybody, it's Jeremy. Welcome back to Dreamers Game 1, where we are playing Yomi. This is turn 67. Let's jump into things. So, right off the bat, we have quite a few pieces of trade that have come in. We've received 6 air gems and death gems from Lanka, and 40 air gems from Morlaix, as well as 20 death gems from Morlaix. So, there you go, right? Throw that up there. And, so all of this was, if I can remember correctly, so the air gems and the death gems were for Scutatl Volturnus that I sent to Lanka to try to aid Lanka in counter-thugging against Helheim, okay? And then the 40 air gems and the 20 death gems from Relay are, I was actually incorrect on the last video, I misremembered. We sent Relay a bunch of Astral Pearls, and I had thought that that was in response to Arcane Nexus coming up, but that was not the case. So this was just a gem trade between us. We sent Relay a bunch of Astral Pearls because we're not really making a big use of our Astral Pearl income. They were seeking Astral Pearls for some options. And we really needed air gems and potentially some death gems, so we were willing to make the trade. So that's that. Did a bunch of construction, Corpse Man construction. Did an Gnome Lore, found nothing. Did an Auspex, found nothing. Did a Voice of Apsu, found nothing. Did an Augury, and found a Bronze Pillar down here in Wasse. So we actually have a Nature Gem and a Fire Gem out of Wasse, so pretty nice. Our Fire income is up to 8, so not too bad. So Fire +1 for Gem income this turn. And then we have but a single battle against Hinnom. Hinnom has attacked us in the Great Mountains, and this is the Melkart that they have hanging around with the Flambeau, the one that we don't really want to jump because it's a Melkart with Flambeau. There's pretty much nothing that our PD is going to be able to do here, so simple enough. Does he have a limp? He does have a limp. Wow. Okay, so he's actually very slow. But that does not matter. Easy peasy. So he wins, and I mean that's our only battle, so battles versus Hinnom, 0 wins, 1 loss. Boom, boom. Not really something, I mean, we're putting it up on the scoreboard, but not really something that we're overly concerned about. We have done what is needed to be done against the Hinnom. So, that's that. Unexpected events. We got an event in Hinwood. A peasant's goose has laid several eggs of gold. Unfortunately, it was killed in the ensuing conflict. Of course it fucking was, because people are shits. Right? They could have had, the whole fucking town could have had a goose that laid golden eggs. But no, they had to fight over it and kill the fucking goose. So, now no one gets the golden egg-laying goose. But we did get 270 gold because we confiscated the eggs. So, there you go. And then in Ghent, a local wizard has been lynched after allegations of turning a peasant into a frog. We get Fire Gems +1 and Astral Pearls +2. And then Brigands have taken up residence in a ruin in Jabero, so we gain a bunch of unrest. So events this turn, gold +270, Fire Gem +1, and Astral +2. That not a bad little haul. We're happy to take that. And then the entrance to the fortification of Hinnom has been breached. That's the only really important big thing otherwise. So, let's talk about what is actually happening this turn. We are going to be storming the castle in Hinnom, but we are not storming the castle with the entirety of our force. And that is because I don't necessarily know what the fuck he has left. I don't think he has much left, right? But it has taken us like 2 or 3 turns to crack the fort, so I don't know what he has been able to summon or what he has been able to put together, and I do not want to go through the process of having to do this siege multiple times. So we're gonna set this in waves, basically, right? We have Tokamochi and Taro are both going to go in. They're both going to storm castle. Taro is taking in all of the Aka Onis. These are the stronger forces that we have here, aside from the Ko Onis, right? I flip-flopped on which way I wanted to do this, whether I wanted to do the Aka Onis first or the Ko Onis first, right? In theory, the concept of if there's anything in there, right, let them die or blunt the Ko Oni attack, right, versus the Aka Oni. So if we lose a first attack, it's better to lose the Ko Oni than it is the Aka Oni. But there's also, it's that kind of risk versus reward scenario. If we send in the Aka Oni and we win this turn, then that's another turn that we don't have to worry about things, right? So decided to go for the kind of riskier version here. We're sending in the Aka Oni with a single Dioni as backup. Tokamochi does have a Flesh Eater. The purpose there is to hopefully, if Hinam doesn't have anything capable of taking Tokamochi out, then as long as he doesn't rout, he should be okay. Flesh Eater, a 38 damage Flesh Eater, should be able to break through almost anything that he has, but we'll just have to see. So, Tokamochi also has increased attack skill, so he's very, 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 very likely to hit with his Flesh Eater. Okay, +5. Holy shit, that's pretty intense. +5. That's, my god, that is kind of an absurd amount of attack skill. Shit, we need to get like a second weapon on Tokamochi rather than like a shield. Like have him just mow through people and that's his defense. Anyways, so we have that going on. There's nothing crazy happening with this. It's literally just going to be the Aka Oni running in there and trying to kill what remains of Hinam. And then if that fails, right, like if all of these Aka Oni die or what have you, Akino is still here with these Ko Onis. He's still going to have Akasada and Benjiro backing him up, right? So we can always attack on the following turn, or, if we need to wait for reinforcements, which we do have some reinforcements coming, then that'll be an option as well, right? So we are also taking a small contingent of Ko Onis and going to start counter-raiding this Melkart. I've spoken to Helheim. Helheim is not going to be passing this line, right? So our border is safe. So we don't have to worry about Helheim coming in and snatching any of the enemy's territory or anything. So that's all good. So we're going to do that, and I don't think we'll catch this Melkart. I kind of expect him to just, bounce around, but we'll see. See how it goes. Anything else as far as the Hinam strategy goes? I don't think so. I think we're making a pretty safe play here, right? If we had thrown everything in, there's the possibility that he would have pulled something and we might have got routed and had to do the siege all over again. But I think we're pretty safe here, splitting this into two forces, and yeah, we'll see how it goes. We have... Where? Oh, we have Pusswound here, right? He's patrolling in Mireni. So if things don't work out for this, we can always reinforce with Pusswound's, 80 Long Dead and see how that goes, right? We're also moving Civitos over in order to try to start site searching for water. I do believe water is probably one of those things that has not been well site searched in the Hinamese lands, and I would like to take advantage of that. And we have Yuki is coming over. He is going to be another corpse construction spammer in the Hinamese territory. Hinam? Whatever. I don't know. Most of the rest of our movements are typical stuff, just moving Oni around to various positions. So pretty simple, easy peasy. Moving out. Yeah, we're moving Akasada. Pulling some Oni that have been sitting here out. We got our new Troll King. Wasn't that this turn? No, that was last turn. When we casted and got our Troll King. So, we have our Troll King. That's cool. Alright, what else are we doing for this turn? I think I'm gonna go through the motions of this turn, and then we're gonna talk about a couple of board state things, because it's been a while since we've really talked about future plans, because we've mostly been focused on what's happening with Hinam. So, let us begin, shall we? We've got some recruitment, just a little bit. Recruitment, 2 Onishugo and 2 Naminari. So, pretty light on the recruitment here. Mostly just, you know, we have a Dione already in the bucket. We don't have any, you know, infrastructure that we're super critical about. We've already got another sorceress on, you know, tap over here. We've already got a shaman over here. So basically, we're just popping off with what we can, where we can. And I am trying to save my money, right? Like, we're gonna need to plop down temples in Hinam and probably Cormark. So, try to save my money. And I've talked about this previously. I realized after the fact that I don't think it's a good idea to be spending money on bandits and things like that anymore. So, we're gonna try to do a better job of that, basically. What else do we have? We have some rituals, nothing unique or interesting this turn. We just have 1 augury, 1 auspex, 1 gnome lore, and then 7 corpse constructions. So there's that. And the corpse constructions that's a lot of corpse constructions, but that is, what is that? That is 42 corpse constructs that we're producing this turn. And again, corpse constructs, high HP, they'll take a protection bless, you know, I mean, everything will take a protection bless, but they'll benefit well going from nothing, right, to 20. Because sometimes, right, like, you'll have the amount of benefit that you're gaining out of a spell like Army of Lead, right, or Army of Gold, for example. If you have high natural protection troops, then you gain less benefit from using that spell on them. Whereas if you have a troop that has no natural protection, right, they are gaining the maximum amount of benefit from that spell. So, corpse constructs, I mean, they're still not going to be amazing, right? But throwing something like that on them actually makes them relatively tanky with their large HP pools. They have decent resistances right off the bat. You give them more resistances, and they're actually really tough to deal with as far as that goes. They're undead and mindless, which can be a mixed bag. They've got the overcharge situation, which is actually kind of nice. And they don't have great attack skill, but they actually do have decent strength, and this is really good for sieging, right? So the alternative is we could take, let's see, Great Eagles, right? We could take our 7 air gems that we're spending on 42 corpse constructs, and we could add 1 to the mix, and we could summon 5 Great Eagles, and the 5 Great Eagles would actually have more... they would actually have more siege power, because I think the Great Eagles have like 20 siege power each. So... there is that, right? But, and they're probably more killy, honestly, all things considered. And they're more mobile, right? So we're kind of at this point where I'm not sure that I want to be doing corpse constructs anymore. Corpse constructs are, I think, really, really good when you have very little air income. But we're actually doing better on our air income, so I'm kind of questioning whether or not I want to swap from corpse constructs over to something like Great Eagles, right? I do think that they are a very, very good unit and would be very beneficial to us. But the other thing is I do think that The problem with the Great Eagles is the Great Eagles... I say the problem with the Great Eagles. I'm trying to reason my way through this, but I don't think there is a good reason, honestly. I think at this point, right, like, if we only had 5 or 6 air gems as income, right, corpse constructs, fine. But now that we've kind of like broken that 10 mold, I kind of do think that we should be swapping over to Great Eagles. But I don't know that I'm going to make that call. I think I might be stubborn about this and just stick with Corpse Man construction. Because we've invested a bit into the gear, etc., etc. But I might stop on the idea of making more corpse construction sites. But we'll see. Anyways, there's that. I kind of went on about that for a while. We've got some forging. Most of this forging is relatively simple. I'm gonna argue with myself here. We've got 1 lightless lantern, 2 owl quills, 1 scutata volturnus, 2 boots of the messenger, 1 lightning rod, 1 storm spool, and 1 moonvine bracelet. So immediately in that, I'm sitting there going, maybe I'll stop making new options. But I meant making new options after this guy, because we already talked about Yuki being a corpse construct for over here in the Hinam territory. So I do want that, right? So I think we're going to set that up and see how that goes as well. Okay, let's talk about board state, or game state. So I do think we're 2 or 3 turns away from having Hinam completely gone. Now the question is, what happens here? So let's actually talk about who is left in the game. We have Ermor, right? We've got Helheim. We've got us. All right, sorry. No, that's Lanka. We've got us, right? We've got Hinam, who is on their way out. We've got Ubar, and then we have Relay. So Helheim, Ubar, and Lanka have been in this kind of like back and forth for a while now. To my understanding, how things currently stand is that Ubar and Helheim are at peace, I believe. But Ubar is kind of like in a constant threatening overture against Helheim. Helheim is trying to kill Lanka and raiding them with great efficiency, but is having trouble cracking any of Lanka's forts and making actual headway against them. Lanka is doing a decent job of counter-raiding and keeping Helheim from being able to strangle their economy or things like that. This is a situation that I don't really want to get involved in, right? I could come in and try to tip the scales against Lanka. I could come in and try to tip the scales against Helheim. But I think, or I could just like attack Ubar. But I think all of those are poor choices for me, and are just going to result in me basically getting pounced by at least two targets, right? Like, if I go for Lanka, if I try to join Helheim in Lanka, I think Ubar is going to drop on me. And I think, so that would put me against Lanka and Ubar. And I think potentially Ermor might try to snake some of my stuff as well, right? If they have the option. Because I would, right? Absolutely, I would. If I try to go against Ubar, I do think it will be a mostly one-on-one fight, but I do think I will lose that fight just because I think they are ahead of me. And I think their control of their territory is more contiguous and more firm than mine is, right? And then if I try to go against Helheim, I think we actually just lose individually in most of the fights against Helheim. I think we could have some success here or there. But if we did go against Helheim, I would actually absolutely assume that Ubar, right, will jump in and try to take some stuff from me as well. So I don't like any of my prospects there. That really just leaves Relay and Ermor. And as you can see, Relay and Ermor have been, we've seen this, right? Relay and Ermor have been at war for several turns, but there's not really anything happening, right? Like, unfortunately, I guess for either side, like, Ermor doesn't have, and it's kind of the way that the game functions, right? Ermor doesn't have good opportunities to actually get into the pond and root Relay out of it, right? But Ermor is well established and they're of the same size, so Relay doesn't really have a good way to get onto land and hold something against Ermor. Relay is doing more raiding, it seems, right? But I don't think it's having that big of an effect on Ermor. If Relay and Ermor are really the only things that I feel comfortable getting involved in, that basically leaves only one choice, and it's Ermor. It's not Relay, right? Like, me trying to get involved with Relay could mean I could take some of this coast up here, right? There are a couple parts that Relay does control, and we could go underwater with Undead, but we're not to the point to where we're going to be able to beat water elementals or anything like that, right? Like, we just don't have that capability. Kind of the same thing as Ermor, right? Whereas I absolutely can jump on some Ermorian territory. Ermor's biggest threat for me in this day and age is they have really good communions, right? So these Augur Elders allow them to do very high level fire, astral death, and occasionally air stuff. So really, really good evocations, really good battlefield evocations, etc. And they actually have pretty consistently available. Oh no, those are both app only, huh? The Pontifexes would be pretty decent, right? So priests, so for banishment, right? Because you could banish demons. They've got. I'm not super worried about their troops, right? Their troops are basic. I mean, they're good Roman-esque troops, but I'm not super worried about them compared to hordes of demons, basically. The issue is they're just incredibly potent mage lines, and that's a problem, right? Like, I could potentially army to army beat them, but they absolutely kick my ass from a mage standpoint. So really, to jump in and try to do something against Ermor, I'm going to have to kind of play the thug game, basically. I'm gonna have to just hit them everywhere I can with as many Dionis and Liches and whatever else I can, Onishigos and whatever else I can throw against them, and all the rest of the time I'm going to have to very carefully pick my battles. So I have a couple plans for what I can do for that. One of the things that we're going to do is we are going to finish out Enchantment 8. Enchantment 8 does get us mass regeneration so that we can throw that into our armies, which is, I think, going to be very important. It also gets us the Fend line of spells, as well as Mists of Deception, which we can actually cast in a communion with one of our sorceresses, which is pretty nice. And then, of course, a fan favorite for me is Lichcraft, right? Getting access to Liches. Even though we didn't get Well of Misery up, we still have 18 Death Gems per turn as our current income. And that might go up as we try to site search some stuff in Hinam's territory. So we'll see, right? That's still very good. That's still a Lich every other turn and then some, right? So that's not bad. And then the other scenario is I think we want to run up Blood, specifically to Blood 7, where we can get Curse of Blood. We can start throwing in some vampires. We're not going to have as much. We're not going to have a very good blood economy. But we start throwing in some vampires, get a couple of those. We can designate a couple of pretty good blood hunting provinces. We have, we have some patrolling options already, so we could just set up some of those things, get some blood hunting provinces going, and try to do what we can in blood. Lanka is actually the only other really fantastic blood nation in this game, right? Helheim and Ubar, neither of them, Ermor or Relay, really, none of them are just out and out crazy blood nations. So it's really just Relay or Lanka. So, you know, that doesn't mean much, but it does mean that we might have the option of trying to snag some Heliophagai or something like that, especially if Lanka is having a tough time of it. If they already have things like that, maybe some of them are dying here or there, and we could try to snag a couple. So that could be nice. But that's mostly a future investment because even if we attack Ermor, right, and are successful, that's a big and, because we might not be successful versus freaking Arcane Nexus, right? And we know Ermor has golems, right? Teleporting golems with Horror Harmonica, that type of setup. So we might not even be able to win against Ermor, but I think we'll be okay. But so even if we win against Ermor, right, I think that will set us to be doing very well. But I don't really know what the late game plan for Yomi is, right? Sure, you're gonna have big demon armies, but those big demon armies are gonna get fucked by battlefield evocations. We don't have a crazy strong mage line, right? Other nations, Ubar, Ermor, Lanka definitely, Helheim kind of, yes, right? Like, they all have better mage lines than we do, I think. So it's kind of a weird situation. Like, even if we do this, I don't really know what our plan is, but if we do succeed here, we will at least be positioned to try to threaten thrones or defend thrones against someone else. So I think going against Ermor is probably the smartest thing to do, and that's probably the direction that gives us the best chance of actually affecting where this game goes. So that's going to be the plan, right? We're gonna try to finish off Hinnom. We're probably going to take a couple turns to set a couple of other things in motion, namely things like blood hunting, etc., etc. Probably start getting some liches out, get them geared up, get some factories set up to actually feel pretty good about having our Dionis geared. Maybe start doing some gearing for Onishugo, because we're starting to pop out more and more of those, etc., etc. And yeah, I think that's going to be the general concept. So what's our army size? We've taken some big losses from the big losses that we've had, but we're still spiking pretty high, so that's good. Not much of an exponential curve though. Our research is doing okay. All right, anyways, I think that's going to be it for this turn. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye, everybody. Hey, everybody. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, consider leaving a like, commenting, or subscribing. It really helps me out. If you'd like to see me live, head over to my Twitch at twitch.tv/thedistanthorizon.